Hello friends, welcome to CS Tudes. Today we are going to discuss about grammars for automata. Before going into the details of the grammars, let us first understand that why grammars are required for automata. So let's take an example. Suppose I want to perform some function, or as a human being, in order to perform any function, we require certain set of rules. Suppose I say that go and open the door. So in order to understand these set of instruction, there should be a common language that should be understood by both the persons. That means the person who is giving the order and the person who is receiving the order. So as we can see that the set of rules provided over here that open the door is provided in a particular language, that is English language. Now, suppose I say that door open. Now, it is not making any sense. It is not making any meaning. So, the person who is receiving the instruction door open could not understand that he has to open the door. So, he doesn't know what exactly has to be done. So, in order to make these set of instructions meaningful, there are grammars. So there is a requirement of a grammar. So in English, we have grammars, and among the grammars, there are different types of tenses. So we use different tense in order to provide instructions so that the person who is receiving the instructions can understand that what exactly has to be performed or what exactly has to be done. Similarly, for a machine, there is a requirement to provide instructions so that the machine can understand the instructions and can perform a certain kind of task in a particular manner without making mistakes. In order to provide instructions to a machine, the instructions should be according to certain set of rules, and these set of rules are defined in the grammar. So that's why the grammar is required for automation. It is required for any automata. So the grammar provides certain set of rules or certain set of restrictions on the instructions that has to be performed by the machine. And you following these instructions in the proper manner, the machine can produce the required results. So now let's discuss the grammar and automata. So a grammar and automata can be represented mathematically using four tuples. The four tuples are Vn, summation, P and S. Now Vn is a finite non-empty set of non-terminals. That means Vn cannot be empty. It has finite number of data. That means the data inside the set Vn is countable. It is not infinite. Now, it is a set of non-terminals. So, what is a non-terminal? A non-terminal is a variable that can be replaced by some other value. So, a variable is something which can be changed, which can be replaced by some other value. Now the second tuple is a summation. A summation is a finite non-empty set of terminals. So it is also a countable set. In this, the number of elements are finite and it is not infinite. Now it is also a non-empty set. That means summation cannot be empty. And it is a set of terminals. Terminals means constants. So constants are those values that cannot be changed, that are fixed. So terminals are our constants and they are formed using the set summation. Now the third tuple, now let's see what is the relation between Vn and summation. Suppose we find the relation between these two. So we can see over here that Vn is a set of non-terminals that are variables. However, summation is a set of terminals that is constant. So if we try to find the intersection of the set Vn and summation. Then we will obtain a phi. That means we will obtain nothing. It will be empty because variables and constants doesn't have anything in common. Now over here you must understand one more thing. Whenever we are talking about the grammars for automata, variables are represented using capital alphabets. For example, let's say capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D, so on. These are our variables. However, the constants are represented using small letters, small a, small b, small c, and so on. So these are our constants or terminals. Terminals can also be represented in the form of 0, 1. So whatever the value is provided as the input to the variables are our constants, and they are represented either using the small alphabets or your numerics. Now let's discuss about the other two tuples of our grammar. So first let's discuss what is S. So capital S is the start symbol. The start symbol is that particular symbol from where our grammar starts its functioning. That means it is the first rule from where the grammar starts. And it is an element of Vn. That means capital S is a non-terminal. And I have already told you, whenever we are talking about capital alphabet, that means it belongs to the set Vn. Now next, the fourth tuple is capital P. So capital P is not a non-terminal. It is a tuple that is representing our production rules. So basically the most important thing in a grammar is this capital P. So it is the set of rules that defines that what action has to be performed by a particular machine. So these are our production rules. It is a finite set whose elements are alpha tends to beta. Now it is also a finite set that can have the countable number of elements. Now its elements are of the form alpha tends to beta. So if we talk about alpha tends to beta, so alpha over here and beta over here are the strings on Vn union summation. That means for alpha, we can have a combination of non-terminals and terminals. Similarly, for beta also, we can have the combination of terminals and non-terminals. For example, over here it is given capital S tends to A, B. So this is our starting production rule because it is starting with a S and it tends to A, B. Now suppose let's say we want to have some different symbol as the start symbol. So what we can say, we can use S equal to, let's say I am using X as the start symbol. So I can write S equal to X, and whenever I write like this, X tends to A. Let's say A, B. That means the start symbol tends to A, B. So over here we can see that on the right hand side it is a non-terminal, and on the on the left hand side it is a non-terminal, and on the right hand side it is a combination of non-terminal and terminal. So according to our production rule, we can have alpha and beta as a set of non-terminals and terminals. So on the left hand side we can have X tends to AB, or we can have A, let's say AA tends to capital B. Over here it is a combination of terminal and non-terminal on the left hand side and a single non-terminal on the right hand side. We can also have something like this: A and B tends to, let's say, B, capital C. So it means that on the left hand side also we have a combination of terminals and non-terminals, and on the right hand side also we have combination of terminals and non-terminals. Now this is a generic production rule, but there are certain restriction on these production rules also. So those restrictions are explained by Chomsky in its Chomsky hierarchy, where Chomsky has defined the grammar in 4 types of grammar: type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3. These grammars or types of grammars we are going to discuss in our next video. Now, let us discuss 2 rules that has to be followed by any grammar for automata. So, according to rule number 1, if there is a production rule, then reverse substitution is not possible. That means, suppose we are having a production rule of the form S tends to A, B, then S can be replaced by AB. That means whenever we are having a S, we can replace it using AB, but we cannot replace AB by S. Let's take an example. Suppose we are having S tends to AB. Over here it is A. Now we are having something like X tends to SA. So over here we can replace S by AB. So we can have a new production rule: X tends to S is replaced by AB. So we are having A, B, and this small a is written as it is. So this is possible. But suppose, let's say for example, there is something like X tends to AB. So we cannot replace this by X tends to S. If we are doing this X tends to S, that means it is wrong. So according to reverse substitution, it says that the reverse substitution is not possible for the production rules. If we are having S tends to AB, we can replace S by AB, but we cannot replace AB by S. Now, let's see the second rule that is provided over our grammars. According to second rule, no inverse operation is permitted. So, if we talk about inverse operation, it means that suppose we are having a production rule of the form S tends to AB, then it is not necessary that in the same grammar we will also have the rule of the form AB tends to S. So, we can have the rule of the form AB tends to S, but it is also possible that we are not having the rule AB tends to S. So, it is not compulsory that if in a grammar we are having a rule S tends to AB, so there should be a rule AB tends to S is not compulsory. So, these are the 2 basic rules that are applied on the grammars. Now, in our next video, we are going to learn about the different types of grammars as described by Chomsky in its Chomsky hierarchy. So that's all about this particular video. Thanks for watching our video. In case of any queries, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe our channel CS Tute and stay tuned. Thank you.